No one cares.
Yeah, I like it.
Our son
Looks
got
great.
married today here at City Hall.
Number 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we should be live now.
Yep.
Got it. All right. All right. No one cares.
All right.
Welcome to the October meeting 2021 of the Lake Lemon Conservancy District. Welcome to our board members and to our staff and our public joining us. Hopefully you all are signed in and are able to see what's going on with your lake. A couple quick things. No Debbie tonight and no Michael Klitzing. We will do a roll call vote where it's indicated, because that's what's required of us by law in this virtual format. And before we start, I want to give a shout out to Alex Snooks, who, as the board knows, but perhaps our public hasn't gotten the word, is resigning at the end of this month and taking a sales position, I believe, with a flooring company in Columbus, Indiana. And though we are extremely sad to lose your talents, Alex, we wish you all the best and thank you for everything you've done for all of us. It's too much to count your help to this lake. Mary Jane?
I would certainly second that. Alex, you've just been a treasure, and I think we knew from the beginning that this was not going to be a lifelong commitment for you, but we have been very pleased and happy to have you with us for the last several years. And don't be a stranger.
That's what I forgot to say.
I may call you for an Uber ride every once in a while.
Feel free.
Yeah,
It's been 7 years.
as well. I think Alex did a great job. So we'll miss you. When's your last day?
Tomorrow.
Oh God.
He got one more meeting in. You know, I know he wanted one more.
I did.
Yeah. Well, you have been a real asset. And I may still call you for tech support, as you have always been helpful to me, who none of this computer stuff is very intuitive to me, and you've been very sweet to help me without judging. So
It's no trouble.
thank you. I don't know.
And Alex has been here for 7 years, just to chime in on that, or 7 seasons. So he was actually my first hire in the gatehouse in 2015, and then moved into the office about 2 years ago. So it's been great working, and I'm gonna work you like a dog tomorrow to wrap stuff up, Alex.
Hopefully it's raining and he has to go outside, right?
Yeah.
Well, all I know is, to add one other quick thing, is that all I knew of you was you were Snooky. And I kept thinking, who is this? And I told you that before, but all good.
At this time, all units need to mark their status verbally. Attention, all units, cat is out at this time. All status.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. With that, let's move on to public comment, and Mary Jane will handle that. With anybody else who might need to chime in, that's fine as well.
All right, I'm waiting for somebody to post.
Okay, we always give it a little time.
Alex, good luck to you. Make sure you turn all your shit back in, will you?
Thanks, and I will.
Good luck.
Oh, I guess
Probably
we're
shouldn't
gonna-
use that word, your stuff.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's been recorded.
Well, does anybody want to sing a song or tell a joke? I'm waiting I guess we should give this a couple minutes to see if anybody has any comments.
Well, let me give you, there's part of the Brooklyn skyline. There you go. It's my very lovely Ace Hotel. That sounds kind of like a dive, but it's really nice.
Oh, no, they're nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. All good. It's weird to be in New York, I'll tell you that. The crowds, again, getting used to them. And they're all masked here, everywhere. And you got to show a card to say you've been vaccinated to go to a restaurant. Just know that if you're coming out here anytime soon. But I suppose that's a good thing.
How are
You
the
can see my test. Sorry, go Mike.
Go ahead, Mike.
well, they've been saying they had rat problems out there.
They do.
Okay.
I haven't seen any today, but there's
That is
trash. It's the trash that they pile
Oh,
around.
yeah.
And the
Having spent
rats,
a lot of time in New York and during my working career, the rats aren't new.
hmm.
They've always had them in Manhattan.
But
There's
now
bigger
they're,
dogs now.
yeah, well, and they're carrying, my daughter-in-law, new daughter-in-law today was saying they're carrying cytomegalovirus, their urine.
Very good.
Oh.
That was
Dog, and anyway, yeah,
Can you spell that?
CMV. That's, oh,
So I still don't have any comments coming in. There are 9 people watching right now, but I don't have any comments. So
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's something wrong because I got a text that,
Somebody's trying to get in.
yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my test comment on there, Mary Jane?
yes,
All right, so it should be live.
yeah, no, I've got the chat turned on, but there's nothing coming through.
I just got to make sure they're logged into YouTube to be able to comment on that.
All right, well, let's give it another minute.
Yeah, and if perchance we don't get anything in another minute or so, what we could do is
Oh.
delay till the public comment after the resolution for the passing of the 2022 budget. We could put it all together. 'Cause there's
Okay,
nothing much between.
I'm getting a comment now
Okay,
from Rebecca Ball. Update please on level of overflow hazard level.
It is pretty much no hazard right now. All the rain that we've had and the temperature drop down, I mean, it's fully diluted and those type of species die off in this temperature. So we'll be reducing all the hazard signs to low. We did look at the samples and it wasn't even enough to go ahead and do further testing. So we're good to go now. Generally, the hazardous blue-green algae species are really, late July through September when the water temperatures are really warm and we're not getting a lot of rain. So you're good to go out there. It might be cold now, but the water is good.
Okay,
are you changing the sign? I noticed the signs were still up a couple weeks ago. Do you take those down or do you just change the level?
We'll change the level to low at all 3 signs.
Okay,
okay. Alex Snooks commented, thank you for the well wishes. And Rebecca Ball is asking, what is update on permit to county related to Long Causeway? I think this must be about the culverts.
oh,
I am unsure on that. There's no permitting that we're doing with them, and I have not heard anything recently from the county on that, so I don't really have an update.
Didn't
Nor
they,
have
after
I.
the petition, didn't they basically say no?
Yeah, I talked to them then. They said eventually they plan to put, not necessarily do the culvert, but to put more riprap along that to stabilize the causeway. And then they said it would come back to funding from the source that I had there. So I haven't heard of any action that's going to be taking place soon.
Okay,
nor have I.
and there's nothing else coming in right now.
Okay, Mary Jane, if you see other comments come in, like I said, we can attach them to our requirement to have a public comment space after or in the passing of the budget section. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Then the next item of business would be the approval of board meeting minutes. And we have 2 months to approve. As you may or may not remember, we could not approve the August 21st, 2021 board meeting minutes at the September meeting because we had a lack of people who had actually been at that meeting attending. So we now have I've got a note here, Mary Jane, Steve Pretty, Mike Blackwell, unless that's 4, we can pass those at this point. Debbie was the other one in attendance at the August meeting, but obviously she's not here. So I would ask for a motion, please, to approve the August 21 board meeting minutes. I will be abstaining from that vote since I was not there, but the rest of you need to vote for us to have a quorum.
I'm not going to motion.
And I will second the motion, but there are some corrections that I've already discussed with some things with dates and that kind of thing that just got pasted from one month to the other. Alex is fixing those tomorrow.
Okay, good to know.
With those changes, I would second the motion.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the August 21 board meeting minutes as corrected. Are we ready to vote? If so, Steve,
Aye.
Mary Jane,
Aye.
Mike B,
Aye.
and Les.
Aye.
All right, motion carries and those pass. Now, item B is the approval of the September 23rd, 2021 board meeting minutes. I have one correction. It stated that this meeting, October 28th, would be at 6 a.m., but it should have been 6 p.m., a minor thing, but should probably correct that. However, I do not think that we have enough people attending this meeting to satisfy a quorum for a vote on that. We would need, we only had 4 at that last meeting and we're missing Debbie. So we will have to do what we did with the August minutes and carry those over, Adam, to the next meeting for approval.
All right.
Okay. And then in Debbie's absence, let's move on to number 4, Adam, the treasurer's report. I know you've been in good communication with her, and she is up helping with her mother in the Chicago area and under a lot of stress. So we're gonna cover for her and hope to get her back very soon.
All right. So as of September 30th, we had total current assets of 1,496,853, and that's all of our savings accounts, checkings accounts, CDs, including our fixed assets, which is another little over $1 million in equipment. Our total assets are 2,564,000. The income for the month was 32,456. This was actually up 15% compared to last year, primarily due to the private dredging income and the timing of our marina fees and club fees that we got. The expenses were $40,019. Most of that was pretty normal stuff. About a third of it was payroll. We did have some attorney fees, and the rest was pretty general operating expenses. When we look at our net profit, it was negative $7,500. That's to be expected and in line with that month. If we look at the comparison to 2020, we had income change of $19,000. Again, 11,000 of that was the dredging riprap income. Marina club fees were $8,300. Last they hit in October, so those are pretty normal numbers that come in. They just happen to be in September. For our expenses, again, we're down on expenses. If you scroll through the graphs, you can actually see the comparisons in graph form compared to 2020. September income in 2020 was $12,600 compared to the $32,400 for this year. The expenses in September 2020 were $46,900, and for this year were $40,019. And again, that gives us a net income of negative $7,500. In 2020, that net was negative $34,000. So overall, a pretty good month compared to last year. Moving on to, are there any questions on the highlights? If not, I'll move on to the allowance of vouchers. The allowance of vouchers is a total of $32,935.63. Again, about a third of that was payroll. The rest was normal operating expenses. We did have a $5,400 attorney fee, which is primarily from the petitions going on right now with the Natural Resources Commission, contract reviews, and then public access counselor. Aside from that, nothing out of the ordinary. Payroll totals were, I'll go to the total on that. Payroll totals, net pay was $3,600. Oh, that was mine. I had these out of order. So net pay was $11,523. Are there any questions on the allowance of vouchers? If not, I'll go ahead and request a motion to approve the September claims.
Thank you, Steve. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Les. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the September approval report of claims. Roll call vote. Anywhere, if there's no further discussion. Steve?
Aye.
Mike B? You're muted, but that's okay. I can see you. Okay, Mary Jane
Aye.
and Les,
Aye.
and I too am an aye. All right, thank you.
All right, next up we have resolution 10-2107, the adoption of the 2022 annual budget and statement of salaries and wages. This has been discussed going on the past few months. We did have the budget hearing last month. So these all coincide with what was at that budget hearing and presented. In the resolution, we actually used the Form 1 from the Gateway program, and this is how it has to be submitted in Gateway, so it's not the Excel sheet. I don't know if there's any questions or if we want to go through that line by line item. We've done it the past couple of months. There's been no changes since the budget hearing.
I am satisfied. Is the rest of the board, does the rest of the board feel the same?
I am as well.
I don't need a red line by line.
Right.
I guess the only question I'd have is that when you do entertain a new person to come in as your assistant, do we have a set salary for that person?
Yeah, so that salary is in here. That's advertised in our budget as $40,000 even for 2022.
Yeah. I don't think Alex started at that salary, so I'm not sure that, I mean, that would be the only question that I would raise is, you know, what your feeling is on a new person coming in. That's really it. I leave it to the board.
I think it's a good question.
It is a good question, but I think we have to wait and see who we and what their skill levels are.
If we've got 40,000 in there to pay him, I'm good with it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to see the candidates that we get for that. We'll be looking over the winter time. We have to have somebody in by the beginning of March, essentially, ideally sooner than that before we get started in the season. It'll really depend on the quality of candidates that we get. $40,000 in line with another property manager at a state property. So if we bring somebody in with some degrees or experience, I could see that 40,000 mark, but we'll just have to look at the type of applicants that we get on that.
Alex, what size shirt do you wear?
Large.
Yeah, make sure the person wears a large.
I don't think they shrink.
We don't want those bloody uniforms.
Adam, so then how are you going to go about the selection process? Are you going to handle it on your own? Are you going to get a little committee going, or what's your plan?
For these ones, we'll go ahead and start advertising on my own. I'll actually work with a job description with Mary Jane. She's been helping me out a little bit on the staffing on that. I'm not against bringing in potentially Mary Jane or somebody else to help with that interview process once we do have some candidates. But I'll go ahead and start doing the advertising and the searching on my own, and then we can potentially bring people in once we have some candidates in line.
Okay.
And
I would volunteer if you do go with a committee kind of thing, since it's similar to the type of work that I had used to do. My career has been in that. Then also, does the board need to approve whoever is selected, or is that your call?
The board does not need to approve that. Ultimately, it's my call, but I would like the input, and I do appreciate that, Les. I know your career was in that, so I think you bring pretty valuable knowledge to the table and are assessing these people. So I will definitely keep you updated with that.
Okay.
And to reassure you all, Mary Jane, because this is so much of what she has done in her career and is so good at, has really helped me with this and with the guys with this. So I feel, and we talk quite frequently, as you can imagine. So I feel very confident that she's helping shepherd this into the best place it can be. We know at a minimum we may eventually need more admin help. So I guess I could see this being kind of a phase scenario, and Mary Jane, I'll let you speak further on it, but to get someone in to kind of get us through this early spring, it may be a 2-part process.
Yeah, we are in the middle of, I don't have another word in my head right now, but rationalizing what the work is that is being done and what's the best way to get that work done. So I spent 2 hours with Adam and Alex interviewing them in detail about what they do and what their thoughts are. And then Adam and I have spent additional time. I think we're coming up on 20 hours of either working together or, looking at things separately. And when we feel that we have captured everything in a good way, we're going to bring that back to the board, because I think people are going to be absolutely stunned at the amount of the variety of things that these two guys to this point do, and how much time it takes to do that. And so I think we're going to have to start to look at a larger staffing plan. Long way to get there, but we will bring that when we feel that we've gotten the document. When you start collecting all that information, it's hard to get it down into a consistent form. And before we bring it to the board, we'd like to feel comfortable that we've done a good job with that part.
I appreciate your efforts to help us all know a little bit more about what they do. Our public, us, it's all good.
So, am I to understand that Clint, I don't remember his last name, but he's
Calendar.
left. Yeah. Has he left as well?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, I would just throw this out there that in your search, you may even, look for someone who has some experience in what he was doing, heavy machinery. Just more.
And Mike, that's part of what we're doing, is looking at what's the most logical way to put functions together. And I know we're all sorry right now that we've got these openings to deal with, but we do have kind of the luxury, if you will, of being able to go, okay, can we get somebody, to your point, who has a skill set that would fit more than just one thing? So good suggestion.
Sorry to get off track.
No.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, that's what we're looking at is actually, part of the roles that we are looking at, and especially as we move forward with the dredging, if we do more private versus LLCD, the combination of the two is bringing somebody in that can potentially do equipment operations in the park in the off season, as well as doing the barge work when we need that. So that's all kind of part of looking at what the overarching organization will be, or organizational chart for that. So we're definitely taking that into consideration, because that's going to be a major player moving forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of the 22 annual budget.
I appreciate that, Mike. And the only thing we need to do quickly is to make sure there's no public comment on it. I'm not sure that that's.
I apologize. I thought we were doing that afterwards.
Well, no, we've already done it, but I think just to make sure we mind our P's and Q's, since this is the last time I was going to give the public one more option to speak on the budget. Is there anything? Yeah, and then I'll take your motion.
I'm back on the live feed now, waiting for any comments or questions.
We'll give it a quick minute. I think people are so tired of it by now, they probably don't want to look at it. But thank you, Mike. I'll get right back to you, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, the person that texted me, he hasn't made a public comment yet, so I don't know what the glitch is.
My guess is it wasn't on that, but it could have been. So.
And it is open now.
Yeah.
We'll give it about a minute. It's kind of a speak now or forever hold your peace scenario, but boy, we do belabor this all summer long. So I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, the engine's coming back. I'm on a mute.
Okay, thank you. Anything, MJ?
No, but I have to say, Adam and Alex, I'm seeing this thing at the bottom of the page that says comments are turned off.
Hmm.
And
That's so you can live chat and then you can comment. And so like
Oh.
Adam has the ability to choose which
Okay.
one you can do. And so right now he has the live chat active
okay,
and the comments turned off because the comments stay there forever. And well, so does the live chat, but you wouldn't be able to live chat if somebody just like posted a video. But you
Her comments come out of live chat.
okay, yeah, and there's nothing coming into
Okay.
live chat. It's on.
Okay, Mike B, can you unmute and restate your motion, please?
What did I say, Les? I make a motion to adopt the 2022 annual budget.
And I second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the 2022 annual budget and statement of salaries and wages. Any further discussion? If not, we will do a roll call vote. Steve, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mary Jane?
Aye.
Mike B?
Aye.
Mary Jane, or Les?
Aye.
And I too am an aye, so that budget is as passed.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did we approve the allowance of vouchers?
Yes, we did. Did you
Okay,
doze off? Did you doze off?
I must have been looking at something else.
I have a big check mark by it. You can't see it, but I did. We're good. Okay. Then to D, Adam, the next resolution for discussion.
Pull it up. So the next resolution is the adoption of the 2022 fees and charges. These fees were brought up through a series of meetings with the budget committee and actually doing an analysis of what we're allowed to raise the fees to. A lot of those fees are set with I can't even think of what it's called, the consumer price index. So we have a maximum and we're actually approaching the maximum on a couple of these. I can go through these a little bit, and this does not have to be adopted tonight. It will have to be adopted by January, so the December meeting would be the latest. For resident boat permits over 10 horsepower, those have been raised from 72 to 74. Under 10 horsepower, 46 to 50. Personal watercraft, 130 to 150. The commercial guide boat feed stayed the same. We generally don't get any of those. For non-resident over 10 horsepower, that went from 100 to 110. Under 10, 72 to 78, and then personal watercraft, 175 to 185. And all these are pretty much within $1 of the maximum that we can. So once we're at that level, as we move forward, we're going to be capped how much we can move them up based on the consumer price index. Daily boat fees, we've actually raised the daily ramp fee and the boat fees themselves. The daily boat permits for over 10 horsepower went from $13 to $13.50, and that's actually maxed out there. Less than 10 horsepower went from $9 to $10. Personal watercraft from 21 to 22. The daily ramp fee went from $5 to $6.50, and then the annual fee went from 36 to 37. The annual fee is primarily non-residents that buy annual passes, but use the ramp to put in and out each time. The fishing tournament application fee went up $10 from 75 to 85. The marina fees have all stayed the same. The park fees, the special use fees have gone the same. The daily entrance went up from $9 to $10. The seasonal park fee went from 65 to 70. And most of these raises, we tried to maximize them within reason to try to lower that gap going into next year. The biggest one that has been discussed with the budget committee is looking at the sublease fees for additional revenue. After looking at analysis of what the marina charges, then through some discussion, in order to raise funds for next year, we are looking at raising that sublease fee from $190 to $380. That would still include a discount of $40 if paid by March 1st.
Discussion.
Yeah.
So what's the progress of getting a sublease map of the lake?
I had that later on the agenda, but I'll pull that up right now.
I can tell you so I know Debbie's got people that rent subleases. I know Pam's got people that rent subleases. Les, you've got people that rent subleases. My people are in a uproar over this 100% increase. And I'm surprised you guys haven't heard from your people.
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen on this.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think my people have heard about it. Why there's no uproar.
Well, they must not be looking at the board packet then. And I'm not sure mine have either. So that's why we're talking about it.
So we have been pulling together a report to look at the sublease stuff. I know Debbie was really wanting to be part of this conversation, so I'm sure this will continue on.
It will need to, by the way, but Adam, what I want to do in thinking about Debbie not being here is for sure let you present what you guys have been working so hard to come up with, because it's all part of the same discussion. And if we need to delay, we can do that. So let's get it all out there, and then I'll fill Debbie in, or she can watch the meeting at her first chance.
All right. So our total number of active subleases in 2021 is 149. I'll show the map here in a second, but we've mapped 108 of those so far. The total number possible of subleases, according to our database, is 182. Now, some people own multiple parcels, or they haven't enacted a sublease, so there is the potential for more.
Hey, Adam,
yes.
Clarification on total number paid. Does that mean that's how many total? You have a total. I'm confused on these.
That's how many are. That's how many are active this year.
149.
149, correct.
So everybody paid who has a sublease. There were no people who did not pay.
I believe so. Yeah, we're going through that. I think that was everybody that paid.
Okay.
That hasn't. So I think we are caught up on that.
Okay.
And then the total number possible is 182. So that would be if everybody came and asked for a sublease. Now, one of the questions was a total number that were not in their own district. There's 8 of those.
Okay.
And those are actually all located in District 2 and at the alternate site and Spillway Road, which are right next to each other. So only 8 are outside of the district. For the different priorities,
are those possibly the ones on Gray Road that drive over there?
Yeah, that is at least a couple of them. There's some from Pam's district as well. And then there's one on South Shore or North Shore Drive that's not
Beaver
on
Lodge.
Yeah. So I have a question still at the top. So you've got 182 possible subleases, but only 108 that are mapped.
Yeah, we're working on the mapping, and I'll show you the mapping now. We've actually been going out and GPSing these and taking photos and just trying to get this up to date. Historically, it's been hand-drawn maps and since the dark ages. So in order to update this and kind of get a hold on it to move forward, make it easier to deal with and a little bit more streamlined, we're actually digitizing the subleases. So we know exactly, you can look at a doc. You can say, this is this person's doc. Here's the information. I'm actually looking at next year too, or as soon as possible, going back to the old method of the license plates for the docs. Because currently the sticker numbers are based on the order that they come into the office. However, in order to streamline it, I would love to go back to the license plate where for each sublease, you have a set number and then you would just get a sticker showing that you paid for that year. That way we're not kind of running back, who's this number from that year, who's this number from that year. You can just look at it. It'll be large enough to see and it'll just stream that a lot more.
I want to speak to that. I think he's spot on. I was just at Lake of the Ozarks, which is a very differently managed lake and much larger, obviously. But they do that. And they've got these plates on their end of their dockage, and it just requires stickers. And I think it's got to be a lot less office work. And we certainly would like to reduce that as best we can on those clerical things.
And that's one of the tricky parts is you get this little sublease sticker and sometimes there's not a place to put it on a dock or it's just bars. So these would be affixed to the end of the docks to help out with that. Then we broke down the subleases into priority. The priority 1 was adjacent and developed. Priority 2, non-adjacent and developed. So that would be just not in that area. You can't directly walk on the city property. Priority 3, adjacent and not developed. And priority 4 is non-adjacent and not developed. So of those, and this is out of the maximum potential, priority 1, there's 109, which would be directly, that'd be like on South Shore Drive, that strip of homes past the porthole where there's the house and then the docks, and those are directly on city property. Priority 2 would be 67, which are non-adjacent, and that could be comparable to Spillway Road or the Short Causeway, where the homes are developed, but they have to travel to the dock. Priority 3, we do not have any adjacent and not developed. And then the priority 4s, we have 1, and that is actually in the alternate site on Spillway Road. That's a non-improved, non-adjacent. So the locations we broke up, and I will kind of, I'll show this on that.
Quick question here, Adam, before you
Yeah.
go to that next slide.
Yeah.
Where it says adjacent to their own property 81, what exactly does that mean?
So that
Last
means
one.
that would be like you, where it's directly in front of you.
That's you, Les.
Yeah, okay. Boy, I mean, that just seemed like kind of a low number. I thought most of them were like that, but apparently not.
No,
You know, like those, a lot of those on Spillway Road, they have to walk across the street.
mhm.
It may be
Okay.
it may be in front of their property, but they actually walk across the street.
I see. Okay,
And
or like
Same
Roger
same
Duke's
thing
place.
over on South Shore Drive.
Okay, and I guess Mary Jane, you yourself would be in that. You're not adjacent because you're back up on the hill.
Well,
right?
I'm not adjacent, but Lakeview Hills owns the land, so we don't pay sublease fees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no city property there. So it is a majority of the active subleases, and a large portion of the total subleases potential are the adjacent.
So which one of these would be me, my group?
You'd be
or-
you'd be adjacent to your own property.
Yeah, but I mean above that.
And that's a priority, which would be near you.
Yes. Short Causeway or?
You're a 1. You're a 1.
Yeah, you're a 1. So all these locations, those are primarily for the priority 2s and the priority 4s. Since the adjacent are right in front of the house, we don't have like a set grouping location.
Okay,
Okay.
So the Spillway, alternate site, Short Causeway, John Young, Chitwood, West Point Eidolon, East Point Eidolon, and then Russ Road are all groupings of subleases that are not adjacent to the
Yeah.
homes.
okay, got it.
So kind of on the map that I have, let me blow this up here. This map just kind of shows where these are located. We actually have, here's Spillway Road, alternate site, which is off Spillway Road, but this is actually an area that is described in its own in our lease. If we were to ever lose the office or Riddle Point Park, this is the alternate site to potentially put an office. Russ Road is down by the dam. John Young Road. Moving along the Short Causeway, the grouping. We also have east of Reed Point, West Point Eidolon, the Chitwood Channel.
Just one of those channels or all of them?
Just one of them. It's just this property on the west side of Chitwood. So the homes on the eastern part of this channel are non-sublease. The west side of that earthen area is city property. So that is a sublease area. So it's really just this area. There are other sublease docks. Well, I guess not sublease. There's non-owned docks in the east portion of Chitwood, but we don't own that property. So that
So
is.
Adam's going to say there, please.
Yeah.
So Dennis Kelp has a sublease. Is that where probably where the 2 is?
So that's direct access right there.
Okay, so that's direct asset. So is that adjacent or is that he has to go
So
across?
that would be considered the priority 1, the adjacent improved.
All right.
And then
that-
I'm gonna stop sharing this real quick, and I'm going to share.
Les, do you pay a sublease?
Yes, so yeah.
Wow.
Mike, do you?
No.
Neither do we. I was
Well,
wanting to know.
Pam, you've got 19 people in your district that pay a sublease.
Yeah, out of 90, 4-ish. Yeah, I never understood how this got figured out. It's a mystery to me.
Yeah, a lot of areas. I mean, the city owns like a 50-foot stretch. So what we've been doing by mapping out, we actually went ahead and purchased a Garmin handheld unit that takes photos. We can map out, and really just to get all this under control. So we have mapped out, I don't have that page in front of me, but I think it was the 108 or just a little over 100. And so we've actually been going around and mapping these out in all different areas. And it's pretty cool because you can go to an individual dock. You can click on this. I don't want to go into too much of it because we don't know what private information's in there, but you can see each individual dock. There's a picture of the dock. We have the descriptions. And so they're all becoming labeled now. And that has never happened before since the beginning.
This is good.
It's all
Yeah,
been
this is very good.
hand-drawn maps. So these you can actually, with the handheld GPS, which is more accurate than when you overlay these maps into this unit, you can go to an individual dock, you can look at the handheld GPS, and you can know exactly whose dock you're at.
Yeah.
Really what we're trying to get accomplished, so we can just, you show up, you know what you're at, you can look at it, and then once we introduce the license plates, it'll just be very quick. You look at it, you know exactly whose dock it is. You can tell if they've paid or not. So this is a huge step to actually just kind of wrangling the sublease program, which has been not the most well organized, I mean, since its inception. So here's actually Pam's district, that west side of Eidolon. I mean, so there are a bunch. I think that's where Mike was referring to, all those subleases. And there's some from Pam's district that are down on Spillway Road. So it's pretty nice. We'll just be able to click on it, see what's there. So we do have some more mapping to do. We've knocked out all the non-priority ones. It's really just the additional mapping would be like getting the ones for like less in those homes along that area. But while Alex was here, I wanted to go out and make sure we got all the other group sublease areas together, because those were the most difficult to keep straight. So that's kind of what we're working on, and it's very cool, and this probably should have been done a long time ago, but I'm excited that we're moving in those steps.
What's the status of the person that made the presentation a few meetings ago in the dam area?
Kind of on hold. They're not, I think what we agreed is that we were glad to hear from them. We wanted to know their plans, and I don't think they were in a big panic, but I think, you know, the word I'm getting is that things that are not developed are, I think that's where we're going to get into some heat as far as people being concerned about allowing that sort of sublease to occur. That doesn't mean we can't do it, but I think that, you know, Debbie is the one I'm thinking of, that there's a little bit of an up in arms about that. However, these people seem very earnest and kind and had good intentions to build. I don't think they were in a hurry. So we sort of put that on a back burner.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that, Pam? I'm sorry, I missed that.
The folks who came, I believe they were at the September meeting. Last name is Patterson. Is that right, Adam? A very lovely lady who they bought property.
Oh, okay. I read that.
You weren't at the meeting, but she spoke very, very well. And I think they would like to build something, but they want to know if they can have a sublease. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out. And we have not accomplished that goal as of this moment. Nor should we rush it, I don't think, for that purpose.
I have had people approach me and offer to buy their sublease.
Buy it.
Yeah, might be a moneymaker, you know.
So that's something I would like to see us talk about. And then if we did that, then we could talk about dock fees for the entire lake as another revenue source.
And wipe out the subleases?
And then, you know, if people were able to purchase that little bit of land that the city's never going to use, then we would rationalize the whole lake, and everybody would pay a dock fee.
Everybody.
Something that would have to be
you, me, Pam, everybody.
Now, the hitch is it's city property. They're probably going to want the money, you know? So, I mean, I wonder if first of all, if, you know, this could even happen, and it wouldn't be any advantage to us unless we get to keep the cash, you know? And then you just get a fair market value, which, you know, could
But
be.
what we'd end up getting is more revenue from docks.
Well, that too.
I think you're really going to get some pushback on this $380. I can see you raising sublease fees. I don't mind paying to put my boat on the water, but I think I want to prepare you for pushback on raising this from 190 to 380, even with a $40 discount. That's really all I have about that.
What was
Okay,
there
and I-
discussion of an incremental thing? I mean, to maybe instead of going double right off the bat, go
Maybe it's
1.5.
tiered.
Yeah, we could tier it out. I mean, part of it was based on the idea there are even residents that have docks at the marina. So we were looking at, you know, non-property owners or riparian property owners where the marina is about $1,200 for a dock. So based on the discussion, we're thinking, you know, it's even still a pretty good deal if you're under that $400 mark, but we could definitely tier that out. So that does not need to be decided tonight.
Yeah, and I do think part of the problem is the iniquity of it. You know, it doesn't seem, here I sit without having to pay it, but it doesn't seem fair to me that I don't have to pay it and 150 people do. I don't know, I think we could share in it more equally but we've got to figure out the legality of that. And to Les's point, if it's something we don't get the money for, then that doesn't make sense either. So.
Well, we'll never know unless we ask.
Correct.
Well, I know that there's some interest in it anyway, that people would, because then they don't have to mess with a permit from the, you know, they want to put something down there and, you know, in the deed, you could have in there that, you know, it is I know in the Corps of Engineers, they call it a flowage easement and it's subject to flooding, you know, and if the lake fills up, well, you know, you just know ahead of time that there's an easement there that it could go underwater. And, you know, or maybe part of the easement is they don't build any permanent structure in that spot, but then you do whatever you want down there, you know, and then at that point, it's truly private property, you know, instead of city property. And, you know, and getting to Pam's point about how some pay and some not, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason the way some of that property is set up, because when we were first looking at property here years ago, we looked at this property across the lake and the real estate thing said 3 acres. So I looked at it and I know what 3 acres look like. There's 3 acres. So then I get on the GIS, well, 2 of the acres is into the water. You know, it's like, how did that happen?
Yes.
You know, so these people own 2 acres in the water and 1 acre on land. You know, so obviously they don't need the permit and stuff, but how did that happen? Why did they, you know?
Yeah.
Historically, I mean, I think that is kind of just remnants from the way the property was initially broken up, because technically in Indiana and with the way this is set up as a reservoir, anything below our normal high water mark is the city property. So while they may have paid for 3 acres, you know, 2 acres of that is technically controlled by the city. That kind of gets into the gray area, like up in northern Indiana along the Great Lakes, where they're saying, you know, people own into the lake, and then the state actually just came back and set the laws where within that normal high water mark, they can't deny access because that's actually under the control of the state. So it gets pretty.
I did follow that, but still, at least according to GIS, it showed these people's property. And then Magdi Salib, who just sold, you know, he showed me his survey and part of his lakefronts in the lake, a corner of it.
Could that be due to erosion? You know, something that was once above ground is now not because of erosion?
Not that much. There's a handful out there that show a good amount in the lake, although that's completely under the control of the LLCD and the City of Bloomington Utility. So it's a little gray. Me and Debbie have actually I've been calling, I think I've called upwards of 30 different conservancy districts around the state, and nobody's just like us, but there's actually a lot of cases where people do charge a dock fee for whoever puts a dock on the water, even if they are riparian owner, since we have control of the water, so they're putting the dock within our bounds of control. So there are instances where there's that, and then there's tiered fees as well if you just have a dock in the water versus having a sublease dock in the water. And these are all just going to be options that we have to assess moving forward as we're trying to raise funds, because we are going to need to.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, if we could just assess a dock fee for no matter what, then we wouldn't have to increase it so much. Just make the other half of the lake of the people pay
Right.
their $190.
Yeah, share the burden to speak.
And then it'll all come out. We won't, you know, have to, you know, have this huge increase. I mean, yeah, I mean, it does. It isn't fair. I mean, it's just a crapshoot. Whether your property happens to go in the water.
I'll say it as someone who doesn't, who has benefited from being on private property. I don't think it's fair.
No, I agree with you.
I think everybody who has a dock in the water should pay some kind of a fee for it.
It seems commonsensical to me, but anyway.
We have the ability to charge
I see you, Steve.
for the boat permits, right? I mean,
Correct.
if we
Right,
can
so
charge
why is that,
you know,
everyone?
I mean, that's extra. That boat permit thing is not good anywhere else except Lake Lemon.
Sure.
You know,
We all have to have one. Steve, you had a comment?
I think it would be very helpful if we could identify exactly why that sublease thing was employed or decided on, or, you know, whenever they made that decision, there was probably a reason for it. And Adam, you sort of alluded to that. But I think before we get into much more discussion, it'd be nice to know exactly why. Some people have to do a sublease and some people don't.
Yeah, well,
I
I'll
agree.
come down the sublease to what's called riparian ownership. So if you own up to the shoreline or not, and then the land, the way it's split up is, I don't think there's rhyme or reason to it initially, but if you do go to the GIS where the sublease locations are, that is or city property, CBU property. So if your dock sits on CBU property, you are required to have a sublease. Now, a lot of that is just for indemnification. If somebody's utilizing the property that we're in control of and they were to get hurt, a tree were to fall, that kind of thing, you want to indemnify the LLCD and the CBU against any potential ramifications if somebody gets hurt while on our property. Now the fee that's associated with that, we are in control of that. And I just think that was a way to raise additional funds and make sure that we are indemnified for people utilizing that property.
well, you know, another way to look at it too, if the dock is in the water, then it's on CBU property.
We have full authorization to charge a dock fee to everybody.
Les
with a
froze.
dock. You guys there?
Oh.
Yeah,
What
so
could-
we do have authorization for that, Les.
Okay,
Um,
something to think about.
Yeah.
And that might ease the burden and prevent this 100% increase.
Okay, fair enough. But we don't have to decide it tonight as
Right.
discussed. I think December is our final time. And I was going to get to this later, but we've been kind of not having a November meeting unless we need it. And we have one scheduled tentatively. So I guess what we need to do in the interim as board members, Mike, it sounds like you've already heard from some of your folks. Sounds like I need to do, you told me what I have, how many in my district? That's 12. 8. How
19.
many?
Yeah,
19. Oh, well, okay. Okay. So we all need to do a little legwork and figure out what the feeling is and how we can make this right.
How quickly can the board get what you've got, Adam, you know, as far as the map and the spreadsheet? Can that be sent out?
Yeah, we can send that out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That
I
would
don't
be
know
helpful.
about the actual GIS map since we don't have the
No,
program for that.
not yet.
But
I
again,
like,
as far as the numbers and then what shows all the areas, we can send that out tomorrow.
that'd be awesome.
Great. That's perfect. All right. Well, let's agree to move that down the line just a bit and give it a lot of thought. I think it's an important concept and I can see both sides of it, certainly. All right. The rest.
We're still on fees, aren't we?
Yeah, and we've gone through those, so can we wait and pass those as well? Because I don't want to split that up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's all part of that.
I wanted to throw one thing out there though.
Okay,
You know, it sort of got lost, but you know, we did have the discussion of the wakeboard thing and stuff, and it's not in there. I mean, if the feeling is it's just not worth it, I'll quit bugging you about it, okay? Because you know, we talked about it for a while, and then we didn't talk about it, and I mean, I'll just drop it if there's no appetite for it.
I'm not against it. If we are going to do it, we need to do an environmental fee. That's a separate standalone fee. And we
Yeah.
discussed this where you'd pay for your boat fee and then you'd essentially have like an activity tag on that sticker for the wakeboarding for an environmental fee. So if we were going to do that, that would need to go into this resolution.
we need to do some more thinking, unless I don't think you need to drop it. I just was at the marina dropping off our boat up in Noblesville, and I saw a wake boat a tri-tune advertised for sale. And the big push on it was you can make any kind of wake you want and pull anybody you want. And I thought, oh, wow, it's not just those big fancy towered boats, is it? It's now the tri-tunes, which are becoming incredibly popular. So I don't think we should ignore it. I know others feel differently, but I don't think in our shallow lake with our issues, we can afford to drop this, no matter what it takes to get a handle on it, because it's not going away.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
All right.
Let's keep that on the table.
A CAI, continuing action item. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, did Mike go to the fire, or is he coming back?
I think he might have went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, well, that's okay. Okay, so we'll hold on passing that entire resolution 10/21/08 until November or December. December's more likely. I won't forget. We still have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead here. Fundraising discussion is our next item on the agenda. This has it's very brief, couple of different pieces. I'm going to let Mary Jane speak first about some substantial significant advancements. And then I have a couple things to add, but it'll be fairly brief.
So in the last couple of months, we have had some substantial contributions to the Conservancy and the Lake Lemon Enhancement Funds. And it's really gratifying. This is more than bake sale money, folks. And at the December meeting, I will try to have a better report for you on where the two funds stand and what's been contributed directly to the Conservancy District. But let it suffice to say that we had substantial contributions from people. But I want to note that Linda Ellis from District 7 gave us a very nice donation, and Andy Teed from District 4 did as well. So we're incredibly grateful and hoping that this is the start of something big. So I just wanted to recognize them.
Thank you. And I would like to additionally note that Mary Jane has been doing some very good work about educating people regarding our project. And I really appreciate her efforts. Sometimes we feel like people get what they need to know from our meetings or our website, but a personal conversation always, I think, can make a big difference. So thank you for your hard work on that. So on the fundraising note, I met with Steve Pretty and Mary Jane, so last weekend, yeah, last weekend. And with the hopes of restarting the bigger fundraising capital campaign that we kind of had to leave on the table after the training session that we did, the workshop with Angela White at Johnson Grossnickel in August 2019. And it was decided at that meeting that, and we were reminded in looking through those materials that the fundraising starts with the board first. And by that, I mean, yes, board contributions, but also, the board recruiting others for said contributions. So with that in mind, I've thrown out an email to the board trying to get a majority of folks to be able to come to a follow-up on that workshop in mid-November. So we can kind of get this off the ground again. And looks like at this point, you can never get everybody in one place easily, but I think we're going to have a majority and be able to talk through some things and come back with a plan now that COVID, we hope, is moving on, or at least we're managing it and can be together and think about some of these gatherings that might help us with more donations. Steve, do you have anything to add to that? You've been very, very helpful getting us energized again.
No, I think the key thing is education to freeholders on how they can contribute and what's the best way to contribute, and setting examples from the board standpoint perspective as to what is expected, as well as identifying just how much money we need to some degree.
Right. Certainly. Well, we appreciate you jumping in with both feet so early on. Mary Jane, anything else on that?
No, not now. I just
Okay.
hope that as many board members as can will come to the luncheon.
Sounds good. I'm buying, so free there. They say there is no free lunch, and it probably isn't, because I need you to think about donating, but we'll talk through how we want to get there. Okay, that brings us to resolution 10-2109, the next item on the agenda, which is board meeting dates for the upcoming year. And in looking over them, I would say everything's pretty standard, except for a change we've been discussing for the summer meetings. We're starting to think that our AV capability in the shelter house is not keeping up with our need to show things in terms of our projects. It's very difficult to have meetings there. I like the communal idea of it. I don't want them to go away, and I think others do too. But we're considering, if you've looked at this packet, keeping the June 18th, Saturday, 10 a.m. initial summer meeting at the shelter house. And hopefully, when the post-COVID, we can go back to the annual picnic at that time, which is always a neat tradition for the lake. And then the discussion here for us is potentially moving the July and August meetings. That would be the 28th of July and the 25th of August back to Bloomington on Thursday night. So tacking it onto the weekend, but getting back to where we have better AV capability for continuity. Thoughts?
Well, you know what I think, but
I do.
I'll just say it for the whole board, or all of that are here. We have the two of the most important board meetings that we have all year are the readings of the budget and those discussions, and we have them in a place where it's hard for people to hear. I know from the meetings, there were some people that came to me after the July and August meetings and were very confused about what we had actually discussed and decided on certain aspects of the budget. We don't need any more misinformation than we already have. And until we have better technical capabilities, I just think it makes good sense for us to have those particular meetings in a more professional and well-equipped setting.
Is there any possibility, at least maybe just for those two meetings, of going back to the Senior Citizen Center, since we haven't had any brawls in the last few years, that maybe they would allow us to come back and, tell them we're behaving ourselves?
Well, we could certainly ask, as Mary Jane said earlier, you don't know until you ask. It has been a while. That's good.
We could ask that, but the thing is, as far as I know, their technology was not very good. I mean,
we utilized our projector and screen when we were there. So the thought with the CBU is that we have the projectors, the cameras, and next year they're actually going to have the ability to broadcast that. So if we're going to have to move forward with any of these hybrid meetings, or if we want to continue to allow these, even if they're not interacted, but being able to be viewed live, the CBU would allow us to do that. And they'll have all the technology in place to do that.
Okay.
Was your thought, Les, that that's closer for people, keep it on a Saturday and have it at the Senior Citizen Center so people don't feel like they're having to go way away from the lake to Bloomington if they don't want to?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Plus, you know, a lot of people only come down Friday, Saturday, Sunday too.
Sure.
And, you know, they'd have to make
Okay.
a special trip. However, hearing that it would be aired and, you know, possibly, option for people to make comment like we do with these, that would make a difference then.
Yeah.
If they're really interested, they could just zoom in, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And they are making, Adam, I haven't talked to Vic at CBU, maybe you have, they are making all
Correct. I think did Pam freeze?
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that,
She moved again.
did I, it's telling me my internet connection is unstable and I'm not sure what to do about it, given that I'm not at home.
So CBU said once the environmental mandate is lifted or the public emergency, they plan to have the technology implemented to be able to do those hybrid programs. And for clarification, the July and August dates on here are Thursdays. That does follow the same
Yeah,
Thursday.
that's what I was hoping to, maybe I didn't underline that.
Yeah. So yeah, so they said they plan next year as soon as we have to go back to in-person meetings to have the technology for the hybrid locations.
I mean, I agree. That's a whole lot more conducive to doing business. You know, I mean, it's real hard to hear in the shelter house, and especially if it's 100 degrees out and all that stuff. So
The senior center, I would say, even though they don't have the AV capability, it is easier to hear there because it's much smaller and you don't have the people on the boats, and that's one plus to think about. Okay, do anybody else? Steve, I see you. I got it. Yeah, I can see you. Go ahead, Steve.
Are you all fixed on a late Thursday meeting instead of Saturday morning meetings? Is there a reason for that?
Well, during the summertime, it's a little difficult with Saturday when we had both the staff members taken out of the operation. So it's much easier to do on a weeknight as far as a staffing perspective.
Okay, I just wondered.
And
That's a
that's,
good
and I would
question.
say that's the other piece of this. We, you know, having those meetings on Saturdays in the summer takes the staff away from their having the ability to do things when there are more people in the park and more people on the water.
And while it's not a ton, we do miss out on shelter revenue. We have pretty much every summer we have to deny shelter rentals because we do take those Saturdays. So just from a staffing perspective, the Thursday nights work much better for us.
That's a balance like everything else, because you want, you know, I have a real heart for making sure people who are at the lake that really would come to a morning meeting on a Saturday that might not otherwise get to a meeting, that they feel like that's something that is available to them. So I guess I don't have a good feel for how many people from all districts come. I know, Mike, you generally have very good attendance, but I would say it's a little light with some exception around the rest of the lake. That's not a complaint, it's just an observation.
What about the Boys and Girls Club? Have we considered that possibly for a Saturday meeting?
That's a good idea.
We could reach out to them. Again, they don't have the technology there. You could use a projector, but we could.
Air conditioned.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
But they
You know-
don't have the technology, right?
That's correct.
You know, maybe we could offer them the technology and as a a way to get in there on a couple of Saturdays.
Well, it's worth exploring.
The
I
other,
think so.
the other thing too with the Boys and Girls Club, if you remember from our meeting at the fundraiser lady, we're in last place. You know, we're not using religion, school, or children. Those are
Right.
the top three. You know, we really need to get with the Boys and Girls Club, with the lake, and maybe, you know, get some type of joint cooperation with them. as part of that fundraising thing. But that would be my suggestion.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Can we, do we have a rule? We have to pass this tonight. I hate to keep pushing things out, but these will be fairly quick if we need a little time to do our legwork.
I mean, this would be ideal to pass tonight because we do have to advertise for our annual
Okay.
budget and for those. From
Okay.
a selfish standpoint, I really like the Thursday nights because then we're not into the 6 and 7 day work weeks as well, which get pretty long during the summertime.
I'm okay with it.
I am too.
As it is?
What was proposed? We do
Oh, okay.
one Saturday in the summer, right? And then everything else is the regular on Thursdays.
And gone to Thursdays.
Yeah.
I could live with that. Steve, how do you feel about it?
Oh, yeah, I just wondered why we're fixated on, and Adam
Yeah,
explained.
sure.
So, which is fine.
And
Well,
Mike, I know you, go ahead.
One of the things I would say is maybe we could use the Boys and Girls Club on a Thursday evening in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, that would, you know, then people don't have, if they're already down here, they don't have to go so far.
And we can change
exactly.
that. We just have to give a notification for the change of location. So if we do approve this as it is written, once we talk to the Boys and Girls Club, if they would allow us to use that site, we can.
Then we can change that.
Well, what if we, go ahead, Steve.
Where is Boys and Girls Club?
It's essentially at Riddle Point Park. When you're coming
Okay.
down the hill, it's on our property.
Okay.
We actually leased
It's
that.
called the Camp Rock. You've probably seen a sign. You
Yeah.
could miss it if you're
Okay, that's
buzzing
it.
by.
Oh.
What if we do this? What if we agree to approve this resolution as it is written, and we know we could make changes in terms of the location? And I guess what I would say is this is kind of an experiment. And
Right.
if it doesn't work well, or people are very unhappy about it, we do this every year. So you can always go back this time next year and say, you know, that wasn't quite right. We need 2 meetings in the summer to be on Saturdays. Well, then you can tweak it a little bit. So
Right.
can you guys live with that? Mike B, could you live with that, passing that tonight in that manner with that thought?
Yeah, I can live with, am I echoing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can live with reaching out to the Boys and Girls Club and having the meetings there. Matter of fact, more than just the 2 summer nights, maybe split it up. But yes,
Yeah.
if we reach
Okay.
out to the Boys and Girls Club, a lot of people don't even like driving to Bloomington. I mean,
I agree.
that's what I hear. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I as a compromise, absolutely.
Okay, well, I would call this a really good work in progress. I would ask for a motion to approve resolution 102109 as written, with the agreement that we will investigate the Boys and Girls Club. I would say that's a better fit than the senior center, no offense, Les, just because of proximity.
Yeah.
But we can always use the Boys and Girls Club, the senior center as backup if we get a no from the Boys and Girls Club, and let's just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Is
All right,
there
so,
adequate parking at Boys and Girls Club? Seeing-
You'd have to spill over maybe into the park or down the roadway, but I think it could work.
Yeah, if you use the overflow parking at Riddle Point Park, you can cut right in. There's a trail
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, okay.
All right, could I have that
I'll
motion?
make that. So
Thank you.
moved.
Thank you, Mary Jane. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Les. All right, it has been moved and seconded that we approve these 2022 board meeting dates as written with the agreed upon review and potential changes. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
or not? Mary Jane,
Aye.
Mike B,
Aye.
okay, Les,
Aye.
and I too am an aye. Thank you. That, I think, everything changes always. We all resist change, but I don't think it's a bad idea to try some things a little differently as we evolve. Okay, this brings us to our manager's report, and I'm going to note here that under E, continuing action items, we have already discussed the sublease information that Adam provided. And I don't want to go too much farther in that discussion without Debbie here, since it is a pretty big impact in her area. And then that's item 1 under E. Item 2 is a fisherman conduct discussion that I would like to also delay because Michael Klitzing had to bow out this evening, and that is something he has a lot of information about, and I don't want to do that without him. So we basically have A, B, C, D, and Adam, take it away.
All right, for our barge operations update, we are off the water. The only thing remaining is to get a crane out here to take the push boat off the water, but all the excavators are off. So we're in the process of winterizing that. We do still have our push boat operator, Leroy Terrell, who actually does operate some equipment. He's really good on the dozer, and I'm actually working him in the park this wintertime on the mini excavator because he's very handy. He's been fixing stuff around the park, so it may be a good fit for a person that can help in the park and operate equipment. So we'll be working on that. We had a total of 10,541 yards removed this year. Of that, about 3,200 was for private. So it was a pretty good year overall with a 10,500 removed. Again, we're off the water for now. So
How much was private?
about 3,200 yards.
Okay.
And then we also did private riprap. And I think, let me run back up here. It was a incredible year for the revenue for the private dredging riprap income. For the totals, let me pull it up real quick. For the year, we've got $65,900 as of September, and I believe some more money was deposited in October as well. So we're looking at a $65,000 plus year for the private revenue. Last year, I think we were right around 40,000. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was the low 40s that we have. So it's definitely very promising as far as a revenue generator, looking at increasing the amount of private work that we are doing.
That's great.
For the sediment management project, the earthwork company is fully mobilized and they're down there working. They've actually been knocking out quite a bit of work. The past couple weeks, especially, they do still believe they'll be able to be done by the end of the year with the South Shore disposal site. So that is coming along. It's nice to see the contractors out there working and all the equipment. And it's amazing how much more they can get done with the size of equipment that they have and the amount of staff. I think our dozer kind of looks like a tinker toy compared to the ones that they have down there for moving. So that is going along, and that is on schedule to be completed this year.
Can we get our tour of that place one of these
I
days?
have re-asked that, Les, and Adam. I told Adam I don't want to be standing out there in the dead of winter, but I'm letting him get through maybe the first or second week of November. But it's not been forgotten, and I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Absolutely. Adam,
Looking early to mid-November, we'll be able to get out there and do a tour of it. Ideally, when they're out there working, would be perfect.
we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. And then we have on C, the 2022 election update. We have 2 board members up for election. District 2, Debbie Ladyman, and then District 6, Pam Dugan, who's nearing on the end of her, 3rd term?
Yes, sir. 12 years.
So we have sent out the newspaper notifications. Those are in Bloomington on Wednesday. And then the postcards have been mailed out to the districts, District 2 and District 6. We do need any nominations at the office or postmarked before December 1st for the election. So again, District 2, Debbie Ladyman, and District 6, Pam Dugan, are up for re-election. And then the Lake Drawdown reminder, this will be a lot more tricky on my own, but we will be doing a 3-foot drawdown starting the Monday after Thanksgiving. So again, if you are planning to do work during this time, we would recommend that week of December 6th would probably work out the best because it will take us the better part of a week and a half to get that drawdown done. If we have no rain during that time, which hardly ever happens, we can drop 2.5 inches per day if the creeks aren't flowing. maybe upwards of 3. If we do have rain, then the lake will not go down at all. We will not be maintaining that throughout the whole winter as we've done or tried to do in the past, where you're just constantly opening and closing it. We'll get that 3-foot drawdown, then we'll allow it to fill back in naturally. The continuing action items, we discussed the sublease information, the report that we have, and it's kind of showing where we are in the mapping. So that's been going really good, and that will continue as well. And then we'll be taking off the fisherman conduct for now. So I believe that's all that I have, Pam.
Okay.
Discussion on a drawdown, please.
What's that?
Just a couple items on the drawdown.
Sure.
Do we, maybe this is a request or request for information. Should we let the railroad know that we're drawing down the lake, and if they need to do some trestle repairs? Should we let the CBU know that we're drawing down the lake because of the lawsuit, the litigation between the railroad and the CBU? And then maybe lastly, to let Brown County and Monroe County know that we're doing a drawdown so they can inspect the causeway, the long causeway, the erosion problem that we, sometimes have on the long. Those are the 3 things that I would request.
So we have, so the long causeway is completely under the control of Monroe County Highway Department. I have notified their MS4 director, combined sewer director that's in charge of that. So she's aware of the drawdown, and they're going to try to get out and look at it. Ideally, if they do have some funds to do some work, they will try to time that out with our drawdown. So I've given them the dates. It's a good point about CBU. I will go ahead and email CBU and notify them tomorrow about that.
And then Brown County, the other end of the causeway, please. The guy's name is Michael something. I can't remember his name.
Well, the Monroe County does the entire causeway.
Oh, they do all the way
Yeah,
to.
so they maintain clear.
They maintain the road to the end of the county. There's a marker there.
I never understood that either, but
The marker is in the middle of the causeway, as far as I know.
No, I think that, well, there used to be one up at the end of the causeway.
But that is completely under control of Monroe County, and they have been informed. I'll notify CBU tomorrow with email. Thank you, Mike.
So this lawsuit with the city and the railroad, I guess I've heard rumors of that. Is that a for real? I mean, it's actually happening, or what's the status? What do we know?
We've kind of just been told to hang out on it, but it is active and ongoing. I think we did get some discussion from Vic Kelson when he was out visiting the lake, but not a whole lot of information. I think they want to keep it between themselves.
What Vic has shared is that there is research ongoing on the city's part, Les, as to what their obligation, the city's obligation might be. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, though I'm not privy to all of their inside conversations. So the railroad is challenging them. And I don't know what the status of the lawsuit is, if it's active, if it's on hold, but it sounds like, I mean, everything I've heard since last spring and for longer than that is the city's still doing its research and trying to figure out how to work through this. So there are no answers. If there are, we don't know them. I'm sure we're kind of glad we're not the city at this point, but hopefully they can come to a resolution that makes sense for all of them. It's tough. I mean, you remember how hard it was just having to draw the lake down,
Yeah.
earlier than we wanted to, but we got through that. So I think they will. There's a lot going on that we maybe don't know. That's for what it's worth. Okay, guys, I am going to respectfully ask that you allow me to bow out and go celebrate with the newlyweds who are waiting downstairs. And Mary Jane is going to take over the last pieces of the meeting. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks to our public for coming. And we will see you. We will let you know as to the necessity of another meeting in November, but Mary Jane will get to that.
Yeah, I
Bye,
think,
Pam.
I
Thank
think
you.
before you hang up, Pam, I would say, I would turn to management and say, do we need to have a meeting in November?
I don't believe so. And if we're going to cancel, I'd rather go ahead and do a motion just now. That way we can notify the public.
Okay.
Okay, I will let you handle that because you still have a quorum to vote.
Okay.
And I am in agreement with whatever you decide. All right. Good night, guys. Signing off.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have fun.
Thank you.
Mike? Mike, did you have your hand up?
I was going to make a motion to cancel the November meeting.
Okay. I think unless there's any other discussion, we have a motion on the table to not have a November meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? All those in, oh, I'm sorry, wrong way to do that. It's been motioned and seconded to not have a November meeting. All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Les,
Aye.
Steve,
Bye.
Mary Jane, aye. Motion carried. I think that's it. Then we'll have the meeting, we'll have a meeting in December then, as scheduled. And do we have any other business that we need to talk about right now? Adam?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Mike,
Adjourn.
second?
Second.
All those, I'm sorry, roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Les?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I too am an aye. Motion carried. And I would just say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and I'll see you in December. Or I'll see you, some of you, at the November luncheon.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Alex.
Yeah, good job.
Thanks.